Welcome to Ancient Geeks, a podcast in which two old friends who share a lifelong love of science fiction, fantasy, comics, games, and other things geeky journey back in time to when we discovered it all, when it was fresh and new, when it was on the fringes of popular culture. On the page, on the screen, on the tabletop, on our ancient computers, we were geek before it was chic. I'm Tom Grant, and we need guns. Guns give us power.
I'm your co-host, Stephen Taylor, and now let's podcast like apes.
There we go. Good one. So today we're talking about the final movie in the original Planet of the Apes series, Battle for the Planet of the Apes. And there was some anticipation for doing this, I think, on both our parts, because
Yes.
we didn't remember the movie too well.
No, I just remember horses and apes. That's about as far as it went.
Yes, yes. And you could
Now
have
I
just
wish I had
also,
remembered less.
you could have been remembering the Mego playset with horses
That's
and
also
apes.
true. And the TV show.
There we go. Before we get into Battle for the Planet of the Apes, what have you been doing geeky lately, Stephen?
So I finally started watching season 3 of House of the Dragon, which by the time this drops will be over with, and I will have finished. But I'm about halfway through, and actually I'm quite enjoying it. How about yourself?
Excellent. Well, so I just got back from vacation in France. I was in Toulouse, where geekery is kind of a big thing. In downtown Toulouse, I found, like, within a couple of blocks, 4 game stores. There were comic stores, with the really nice European style hardcover, big format comics, just slews of those.
Cool.
There were bookstores, obviously, with other geeky things, including a bookstore, since I'm a movie geek, that specialized in books about movies. So that was, I think, my big geek moment when I was in France, was kind of discovering all these places in Toulouse. I'll also mention that on the plane, I finally got to watch A Night of Seven Kingdoms and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have not watched that. I read the book, but I have not watched it. I've heard good things, so I look forward to doing that at
Yeah,
some
it was
point
good.
myself.
A little stretched out, but
Well, sure.
it was good. It was good. All right. As we always ask, because we don't have a budget, we can only aspire to have a soundtrack apropos of each week's geeky offering. What soundtrack, if we could afford it, would you use? Would you pay the royalties to? Would you pay
Sure.
out of pocket to sprinkle a little more magic onto this episode?
I went with Too Much Monkey Business by Chuck Berry.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Okay, so I chose Elvis Costello's "Waiting for the End of the World." Because when I was a teen, I was a huge Elvis Costello fan, and it
So,
seemed appropriate.
and I will point out for anyone who hasn't noticed, I've started posting show notes on Substack now for quite a while, and I've been including our musical choices. So if you want to hear these
Yes.
things, they are available. There is a way around this licensing thing.
Yes.
Thank you, YouTube.
Thank you. Well, and bless you for doing that. All right, now we dive into Battle for the Planet of the Apes. It's like I can hear, like, the Channel 5 announcer,
Yes,
KTLA,
exactly. Yes.
like, announcing
Yes.
what's coming up on the next weekend movie. How did you first encounter this movie?
Yeah, I saw this movie on Channel 11 in the Dallas market back when I was a kid. And I'm pretty sure, as I've said before, I saw all of them in the same week the first time.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater when it came out, and I remember coming out and of the movie theater and thinking that was okay. Even
Yeah,
though
well,
until our rewatch, I had no memory of what it was that I thought was pretty okay.
yeah, I just remembered there was some conflict, and that was just in the horses. But yeah, it didn't stick with me.
Yeah. There was awareness at the time that this would be the last movie, and there was already a feeling like Planet of the Apes had gone maybe a little too far. They were milking it because it was popular. The studio was still making money from these films. The merchandising was certainly making lots of money, but people were making jokes about how overextended the Apes franchise was. So in making this movie, they kind of went back to the same well again. They went to Paul Bean, the scriptwriter who had done the last few movies, and asked him to do this film. So it has a consistent feel with the other movies, but there are some differences too. And I'm not sure whether to ascribe them to the other two scriptwriters who were brought in. Dane did a treatment, and then two scriptwriters finished a script, and then Dane was brought in again to fix the script. So how much of what we see is from Dane or the other two scriptwriters? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a feel. I agree. They feel similar, but boy, they often contradict themselves in ways that drove me a little crazy.
I know. Yeah, there's no consistency.
No.
Another little interesting factoid. So David Gerrold of Trouble with Tribbles fame, science fiction writer who also was a contributor to, Star Trek: The Next Generation and the kind of the in its inception and so forth. Anyway, he did the novelization for this film, but he's also an extra in the film. And I found how to spot him as an extra in the movie, but it's not
Yeah.
worth the trouble, honestly.
I read, but I didn't look. And of course, it's also kind of funny that John Landis is in this movie as an actor, has a
Yes.
minor role.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. Also, after this movie was made, Arthur P. Jacobs, the producer who had kind of set up a production company around the Planet of the Apes movies, had realized this was coming to an end. He decided to sell this to 20th Century Fox, the studio and the whole Ape franchise. Along with it. And unfortunately, he passed away soon afterwards. And he's an important figure here. He was the person who really championed making the first Planet of the Apes movie. He's the producer on all of the Planet of the Apes movies, as far as I know. So this was not just the swan song of the series, but unfortunately of the man who was responsible for bringing these all to the screen. Before you saw this movie, what
Hmm.
did you expect a battle for the Planet of the Apes to look like?
Well, I know what I expected, what I wanted it to be, although I figured it kind of wasn't going to be. And probably what I expected between the two movies when I saw it the first time was when you end Conquest with this massive uprising,
Right?
that the next movie would be, in fact, the uprising instead
Yes.
of 12 years later and somehow, man, evolution works fast. 12 years later, all of a
Yes.
sudden, everything is almost the way it is many, many years in the future. So it's all very confusing. But I expected a literal battle for the planet, as the name suggests, instead of a skirmish on the outskirts of the Forbidden
Ape
City.
Village. Yes.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I also had an inkling that could be a good way for this movie to go. And then I saw the movie poster, which had the mutants in it. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so they're fighting the mutants. So this must be further in the future. But apparently
Right.
everything happened very quickly. So within 12 years, the entire world, except for the ape human village, is destroyed.
I guess.
So there is there's nothing to battle for apparently beyond the ambit of Ape Village,
Yeah.
which they keep calling Ape City. It's like this is not a city. This is a
No,
summer. This is a summer camp. I sent my daughter to Ape City.
yeah, that's gee whiz.
Uh, yeah, and the mutants are already becoming mutants. They don't have the psychic powers
But they're
yet, but
bored. They're so bored.
they're so bored, and they're unaware that anybody else is alive.
Yeah, everyone's.
Anyway.
I guess maybe one. I didn't realize this, Tom, and really, as people that studied global politics and conflict should know better. I did not know that a nuclear bomb created incuriosity in those that are left behind,
Exactly.
because no one apparently goes anywhere to figure anything out. They just sort of hang out wherever they are in this strange future. Who can
Yes.
explain it?
Yes. And I think it also shows that a bipolar system can be inherently unstable.
Well, there's no the nuclear balancing is not present any longer. So what are you going
But
to do?
I'm just saying between the mutants and the
I know, I
I'm
agree.
just putting in a
I know.
little IR theory and because that's what everybody comes for in this podcast is for the
Sure.
gratuitous political science
Sure.
references. All right, so this movie starts with a lot of exposition. Clearly, the filmmakers believed they needed to tell the story of the last two movies to tell this story because it is just a continuation of those earlier two movies. We don't jump
I
ahead
was
1,000 years.
no. Although my counter theory is not that they thought they had to explain it. My counter theory is they knew they could save a bunch of money by recirculating previous footage and stuff and waste time
Yeah,
and then get moving.
yeah, it's a movie with the title "Battle for the Planet of the Apes." You think there'd be a
Yeah.
lot going on, but there's
Uh,
actually not a lot going on in this movie. So padding certainly might have been one of
no,
the reasons for the exposition.
I wrote down the lawgiver provides a last time on Planet of the
The
Apes exposition.
lawgiver, the
That's right.
lawgiver, who is John Huston.
Yes.
Do you think he added something to this movie by being the lawgiver?
It had 10 minutes on both ends of the film, I think.
I actually thought it detracted because it's not a great movie, and
No,
to have somebody like John Huston there makes you think, well, how else could have this
no,
received
exactly.
more investment to me to be a better movie aside
I
from
would
just
rather
getting
have
John
seen a
Huston?
movie about 2670, which is when the lawgiver is speaking. That would have
Yes,
been more interesting to me than what was
yes.
happening in whatever year it was at this point in
And
the current film.
disappointingly, unlike Beneath the Planet of the Apes, he did not bleed from the eyes.
No, although the statue does cry at the end.
Yes, it does. It does.
Sorry,
Uh,
spoilers.
right. We're obviously spoiling.
Yes,
So this movie starts in Ape City, Ape Holiday Camp,
yes.
yeah, Ape
Ape Gilligan's Island.
Jamboree, but it's really an ape human
Yes,
city in which the humans are second class citizens.
yes,
And so the war happened, the bomb was dropped on the city, uh,
yes.
and apparently, again, just as we said with Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, there's only one city in the world.
We built this city on radioactive sludge.
Yes.
Whoa,
By the way, Siri just acted up on my phone. I must have said something to attract her
city. You said
attention.
city.
I said city. There you go. All right. So city. Uh, so the bomb was dropped. It's not clear why. Like, why was there a
No.
nuclear war exactly?
How? No, I mean, okay, so we'll start out. Since you've opened this can of worms,
Yes.
how in heaven's name did an uprising in Century City or whatever that place was supposed to
And
be
the UCI campus,
and the
lest we
UCI
forget.
campus lead to global thermonuclear war? How? It makes no sense.
So I think this is probably one of the most early 70s aspects of the film
Yes,
because that was a time when people did think that we were living on the brink of catastrophe and
sure.
that there were lots of different potential sparks that could ignite a nuclear war. Now, it's not clear in this movie exactly how that worked, but the idea that that almost anything could cause a nuclear conflagration was not unusual at the time.
No, I agree with that. I guess and to make a joke I may have made in the last podcast, I can't remember now. If they just nuke Century City from space,
Would
that would
anyone
have
notice?
solved. Well, there's that, but it would have solved the entire problem, right?
Yes. Yes.
I'm really not quite sure how an appropriately armed gang of persons couldn't, an airstrike. I don't know. Taking out Caesar and his little band of rioters should not have been that difficult to accomplish, because this
Right.
this is the core problem of the whole thing. I mean, of course, I've always assumed. I assumed when I saw Planet of the Apes, and I still think this is a more accurate or logical thing, is that the apes emerged because the humans went to war with one another, and then the mutations is what led to talking apes.
Yeah.
But this notion that they all evolved immediately because I don't know why, and that somehow one ape uprising led to nuclear war. Well, I take your point about this whole idea of everything being on the brink. It just doesn't follow logically at all,
No.
unfortunately.
Which calls into question why they decided to focus so much on the exposition, because
Hmm.
then it just brings up all these problems with the sequence of events leading to where the movie starts.
No, I do agree. I do agree with sort of think a point you were making, and it's sort of been nascent in my mind, and I don't even know that I have a really good thesis about it. But I agree with you. And I was thinking about when I was watching the movie, this does feel very 70s, a little more 70s television, maybe, but maybe movies too,
Yes.
which is just that things happen and we pretend like maybe there might be an explanation, but we really don't have an explanation. And why do you viewers care why? We're just doing this thing.
Right.
It's kind of how it felt. Like it doesn't, we want to talk about apes, therefore they're talking now. And Virgil's a genius. Cool.
Right.
And so forth and so on.
And this is the strangest choice of this movie.
Yeah.
It is to make it only 12 years in advance. And
Yeah.
as we said, so much has happened to fast forward to the world of the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was set thousands of years in the future. So
Yes.
why did the scriptwriter feel a need to again push it on to 10x speed to get to a point where they would have something that looked like the original movie, except for
Just
the
because
humans could talk.
that's what they wanted to do. I mean, the answer, I guess, is that's what they wanted to do. Therefore, they did
Yes.
it. And we're not
Right.
supposed to think about it too much. That's the 70s of it all in my mind.
Right. Okay. So the apes are talking. They are in
Hmm.
fact quite articulate and quite
Yes.
learned.
Except the gorillas who grunt
Except
a
for the
lot.
gorillas, yes. Uh, there's this blended ape-human society.
Hmm.
Apes are clearly, the upper class. The
Hmm.
humans, they're the victims of a lot of bigotry,
Yes.
and they can't say no to any ape.
Right.
There's this rule that then this teacher violates by saying no to the
Yeah.
gorilla leader when there's a confrontation in the classroom. The gorilla leader is not doing well at school. And of course, he lashes out in the way that we saw all the time in the classroom.
Sure.
We're always afraid of a gorilla lashing out at us.
Tearing up papers.
Throwing the easel with the chalkboard over
Yeah.
happened. If I had a nickel for every time that happened.
Well, those easels at UCI.
All those easels, yes. The gorillas are clearly barely in check.
Yep.
So Caesar from the first movie is effectively a monarch or a
Yeah.
dictator,
He's a king.
but he's a
I think he's
benevolent.
called a king.
Yes, he's a benevolent king. But one of the limitations on him is he doesn't seem to have much control over the reins of the guerrillas, which
Well,
have formed
speaking,
already the military caste.
yeah, well, speaking in terms of political science, it did occur to me that he doesn't control any of the gun. While he has the guns in an armory, he really doesn't control the military, which is kind of prerequisite for controlling the state. So
Right.
we got a problem here.
The monopoly of violence by the state.
Yes.
Yes, the
Yeah.
very definition.
A monopoly of
Oh,
legitimate use of force in a given
yes.
territory. If this is
Yes.
the quote you want.
Yes. I was trying to simplify it, and I think I just totally mangled it in the process. So
Regardless, no,
yes.
it is again, it's one of these things. Again, I think it's why I think more episodic TV in the 70s, it just feels like there's no attempt to think about how any of this would work. And not that I need a complex iteration of ape government in a Planet of the Apes movie, but there is just a super simplistic notion about how things work.
Yes.
And it makes the narrative very uninteresting ultimately, or very
Yes.
contrived. Like at one point, Aldo, the guerrilla general, sits on the throne at the conference in the council
Right.
space and says, "Well, Caesar's not here, so I'm in charge." Or when Caesar's worried about his kid being hurt, well, then everything, all hell breaks loose because basically Caesar is the government, for all I can tell, for the
Right.
most part, and it doesn't really follow or make a whole lot of sense. And of course, to your point about Ape Village, there really only appears to be like three structures. It just none of it follows really. Um,
No, no. And it really begs the question, okay, we've jumped ahead only 12 years.
yes,
Why is there a military caste at this point?
right.
Because as we said earlier, as far as they're aware, there's nobody else in the world. They're it. So,
Why was Aldo a general?
yes. Yeah. So I think you have to make minimal sense, and
Yeah, I agree.
the whole gorilla subplot here doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
No. I mean, there's some good aspects of it, I think, from an acting standpoint. We'll talk about,
Hmm.
later on, the Claude Akins, the guy who played
Yeah.
the General Aldo. But from a story standpoint, it makes no sense. Unlike the first movie. So I think if you want to look at the
Oh,
first
sure.
movie as a modern Swiftian satire,
Right.
which is kind of what Pierre Boulle had intended for the novel and so forth. If you looked at it as satire, then having like a military cast, if you're
Hmm.
parodying something about the real world, it's forgivable. Here, this is this sort of pulp adventure,
Yes.
and it doesn't make sense
Well,
at
and it
all.
also
There's no justification to have it really as prominent as it is in this movie.
well, it's all a bunch of very lazy writing, I think, because there is a lot of echoes of the first movie in this movie, right?
Yes.
And so, including the fact that somehow, also speaking of evolution,
Hmm.
fashion evolution, it is
Yes.
fascinating that everyone somehow, including the mutants, everyone, evolved into their costumes from the first two movies this far in the past, and they kept it for forever. It's
Right.
amazing.
It's amazing. Well, if it
That's right.
works.
That's right.
I mean, how much has fashion changed since the 1990s?
Well,
All our t-shirts and jeans, the acme of fashion.
well,
All
let's
right.
all, I'll throw in the 70s and we can talk about how things have changed.
Okay. Well, I'm saying people have said that like since the
Oh,
1990s, there
yeah,
hasn't been any fashion evolution. So maybe then 1,000 years from now here in the
sure.
real world, we'll still be wearing exactly the same jeans and
Sure, why
t-shirts.
not? Why not?
If it works, it works. All right. Other aspects of ape society, ape human society. Uh, we meet Mandemus, who is the
Hmm.
guardian of both the armory that has been
Hmm.
salvaged from the earlier world pre-apocalypse. But he's also Caesar's conscience that
Hmm.
he restricts access to the guns. You have to provide a good reason for it. I
Hmm.
actually like this character quite a
No, I
lot.
did too, yeah. Hmm.
And Lou Ayres did a good job as
Yes.
Mandemus in the role. So that like when they're going out to the Forbidden Zone and they need some weapons, there's this fun sort of back and forth about,
Yes.
oh well, what do you need it for? We need it for shooting rabbits to eat. Oh
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
So you all are going to have guns to shoot rabbits and pretty big guns too. So these
It
must
was
be
a shame.
some really scary rabbits.
That's right. No, those things were good. Although I was disappointed you didn't have to get a writ from Mandemus.
Oh, oh. Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. We also meet Virgil, you mentioned
Yes.
before, who's sort of the proto Zeus, but a much more kind figure.
He's a happy Zaius.
He's a happy Zeus. If Zeus's father had loved him,
That's right.
he would be a bit Virgil. It's played by Paul Williams in his first
Yes.
role. So singer-songwriter Paul Williams, who went on to also star in the movie Phantom of the Paradise.
Who knew?
Have you seen that one?
No, I have not.
That's actually that's on the list of things I really want to rewatch.
Okay.
I liked it back in the day. I don't know how well it'll hang up, but he was the villain in that, and I remember him being pretty
I just
slimy.
remember being on TV a lot.
He was like one of those people always on talk shows
Yes.
and
And
Hollywood
variety
Squares
shows.
and variety shows. Yes, and he's we'll get into the grades later, but he's okay.
Yep.
Here's the whole setup for the movie: the tensions within ape human society,
Hmm.
the different factions of the apes, Caesar's rulership. Caesar also has a son by Lisa,
Hmm.
the ape whom we also met in the last movie, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. How good a setup is this? So forget the whole boring exposition at the beginning. If you look at like the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie, kind of giving you a feel for everything that's going on in the society, the scene with the teacher who's chased by the
Hmm.
by the gorillas. How good a setup would you
I mean,
say that was?
um, it creates a certain set of internal tensions, I guess, that are fine. In some ways, it's, to me, to use our ever so sophisticated system, kind of meh, only because it creates all these other questions that I have about what's
Yes.
going on and why. So it certainly establishes, actually, what it does is it establishes this is going to be a very small movie with small goals and
Yes.
small conflicts.
Yeah.
That's what it does, right?
Yes.
What did you think?
Yes, I had exactly the same thought. Because of all the TV movie feel of this, it's like
Hmm.
if this had been the pilot of a TV show,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it served the same function. But again, you wouldn't see it. turning into an epic battle for the Planet of the Apes
Hmm.
based on this. There were some interesting ideas about the conflicts within the society, but it didn't. You couldn't take it very far from where it started. There was actually, though, maybe a little bit more there than even in the first movie about the tensions in ape society. Um,
Right. I mean, I think this movie is has lots of potential that it does not even come anywhere close to fulfilling. And
no.
I think even even if we were to have a about ape society, it is everything that's introduced is, I'm trying to find the right word. It's immature, underdeveloped. There's a
Yes.
better word that I'm not conjuring, but I'm like, okay, so the gorillas and the chimpanzees or whatever, or just the gorillas and Caesar, if you want to put it in those terms. It's just it's basically ugh ugh chest thump, and that's the sophistication
Right.
of the conflict. It really isn't about what it could have been about, among other things. That the apes have now been freed from slavery.
Hmm.
It's, again, I'll get political science here for a minute, right? We all know that when there's a rebellion against an authoritarian system, that initially all the people who are rebelling, it's easy for them to be together because they have a common goal. The common goal is to overthrow
Right.
the overlord, or whatever the case may be. In this case, the humans. But once you start to try to govern yourselves, then all the cracks start to show, right?
Yes.
So there's an interesting story to be told about that. Of course, one of the things that's problematic too about Planet of the Apes and the way it cleaves, and it worked better in the first movie because we were just dropped into a society. But the idea that everyone, the sort of the racial stuff is very crude. Like all of the gorillas behave one way, all of the orangutans
Yeah.
behave one way, all the chimpanzees behave one way, and in the first film, you could at least understand this to be sort of a caste system that's been imposed on society. In this case, it's just basically, and to be crude about it, the hulking black people are the problem, and I think that creates a certain kind of difficulty, especially for a movie made in the '70s.
Yeah.
Although it still, I think, has implications in the contemporary area. But I don't want to over racialize that. But I think it's part of this, part of the problem. But also, setting that aside, just the fact that it's all of them behave a certain way is super simplistic and kind of frustrating, really.
Yeah.
On the flip side, to your point, it is the TV movie of it all. It's all very simple, and here it is, and we're going to have a specific narrative. I mean, this movie was shockingly, of course, things have changed so much since we were kids. But this was a G-rated movie because the whole idea was it was supposed to be a family movie. So I guess we're going to
Right.
eschew some of the complexities of it all too, as part of the problem. But
But you don't need to necessarily. So
well, that may
I
be
think
true.
the other
No, you don't need to.
interesting tack they could have taken was Caesar is a charismatic leader, and
Yep.
that a revolutionary movement that depends on a charismatic leader is inherently fragile,
Hmm.
and maybe having Caesar
Yeah.
be aware of that and
Yeah.
having kind of more concerns about how do I govern, how do I deal with these situations. Like I thought that like the whole vignette with the teacher, it was sort of an opportunity to kind of see what his leadership would be like, but
Hmm.
it was kind of resolved in this sort of pat way.
Yes.
And then later, when they go off to the Forbidden Zone, he just kind of goes. Like,
Yeah.
why wasn't there any discussion about
I
that
don't know.
within that society? Or they're going to have the battles. Like, there's no concern about him. He's just like on the front
No.
lines, and
Or or when there's a confrontation with Aldo and the other girls who have guns, he just basically says, "You have to obey me because you have to obey me." And that's when I'm sitting there thinking, well, they got the guns and you
right,
don't. Um, there really is no. In the first movie, he's obviously to mix my species. He's the alpha, right?
yes,
He's the head of the pack because he speaks. He's smart. He's a true leader, and he also is charismatic in that movie. In this movie, he's kind of docile
yes,
and just sort of like is ambling through the story in
and
a
really
way
kind of
that,
abdicates responsibility
yes,
at a moment of crisis.
agreed.
So if the movie had been more about the problems of leadership for a charismatic leader,
Hmm.
or the problems of depending on a charismatic leader, the indispensable ape,
Yes.
on the part of everybody else, and everyone being aware of that, that would have made a more interesting
Or
story.
and also just coming to grips with the fact that the whole world has been upended and we're like having
Yes.
to reform society instead of this sort of this notion of like, and also with the humans, it's like totally unclear. Are these humans that are they're definitely second class citizens, partially just because of the inversion of who's in charge, but they're not quite slaves. They're kind of servants. Are they also kind of collaborators with the apes? Are these the humans that sided with the apes against the
Yeah,
slavery
very
system?
unclear.
It doesn't, when you have I love the fact that we find out through exposition that that McDonald is the brother of the guy from the other movie. I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
why is that the
Well, because they
case?
didn't have the same actor. Rather than just saying, okay, it's a different actor in the same character, it's the brother of McDonald,
Yeah, it's just
young McDonald instead of old McDonald.
yes. So it was just a weird sort of throwaway.
All right. Well, speaking of McDonald, who is sort of this advisor to Caesar, or friend of Caesar's or whatever. So he tells Caesar, "Oh, by the way, if you were ever curious about your parents, there are recordings of them probably still in
God, so
the
stupid.
Forbidden City, the Forbidden Zone,
Yeah.
yeah, the Forbidden matte painting." Uh, so that then
Through the woods
becomes
and over the dunes to the forbidden city we
right. So
go.
that becomes the quest portion of the
Yeah.
movie, which follows, which is then so Caesar, McDonald, and Virgil go
Yeah.
off to find this archive.
Yes.
And again, they're unaware that the irradiated city is inhabited. They're
Right.
very concerned about the radiation. They
Right.
can only be there for a short time, or
Right.
else they're going to be there forever, Virgil says, which is like one of many moments when I ask
It's just
myself,
like
do they not know how radiation works?
no, I guess not.
Does anybody who wrote this movie or, or had any creative control over this movie know how radiation works? Because in the city are the remnants of the old government that existed.
Right.
So the governor whom we saw running the show in the city in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, he's gone, not explained where he went to, but his aide and sort of secret police guy, Kolb, is now in
Hmm.
charge. And
Yes.
there's a bunch of other people there in the underground who are also incurious. They haven't gone out to see what's
No,
happening in the outside world.
yeah, this is the part that just
What are they eating?
yeah, um we talked about how small the world was in the first movie, but it's even
Yes.
smaller in this one.
Yes.
But there is somehow this sort of the city, which I guess has got to be New York, even though in the other movie it's kind of California, but who knows?
Yes.
Um, and then you've got the city, you've got desert, then you've got the forest, which was kind of also the way it was in the first
Right.
two movies. Although it feels even smaller in this one. And yeah, and to leap ahead slightly, when we have the battle, somehow the mutants have cars. Now, if they've never left the city, because for whatever reason they haven't, why would they have vehicles at the ready? And if they had vehicles, why haven't they explored? The whole thing
Why
is
do they
just
have
like,
camera? Why don't they have the surveillance cameras set
yeah,
up?
why do you have
What are they
surveillance if you?
surveilling?
I just don't know. It's just, and all they do is whine about being bored and like, well, if you're that bored, go for a walk, man. Go for a
Right.
walk. Well, I don't. The whole and me also with this also relates to the thing with
Yes.
Ape City. And again, do the writers not know how nuclear war works? I understand in Planet of the Apes that we're thousands of years in the
Yes.
future and things have collapsed, but if it's 12 years after the war,
Right.
not every town and edifice and technological item has been incinerated by the bomb, one
The
presumes.
bomb.
So
Yes.
why they're living in Gilligan's Island houses and don't have any technology, I don't understand. And but the you know it, it's just so strange.
Now I'm envisioning Alan Hale Jr. as
Sure,
General Aldo. Hey,
that's
little
right.
buddy.
That's right. That's right.
Hey,
Well,
little Caesar buddy.
Virgil is the professor.
There you go.
But yeah, I don't. The mutants just, I don't know, man. Doesn't make any sense. I think
Yeah.
I've lost the train from what your original question was.
It's okay. It's okay. The bomb dropped on our brains
Yeah,
here,
it
and
did. The
yeah,
bomb. The
and everything
bomb.
was destroyed. The bomb.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So the trio find
Yeah.
the
Oh,
archive.
okay. That's what I was. Yeah. They find the archive,
They
and
see the videos of
which are just clips from Escape.
which are just clips from Escape,
Now, here's a question,
revealing
Tom.
revealing what they told their interrogators
Hmm.
about the future.
Right.
The eventual destruction of the world.
So here's something that just bothered me about this, among other things. One, it's like none of this
I know what you're
is.
gonna say. Go ahead.
Well, maybe you do. I mean, part of it is none of it's a revelation. So just reused
Right.
footage.
Yes.
None of it's a revelation. It doesn't. But here's the thing that really bothers me. You have the actor who played Cornelius. You could have filmed new stuff that told us something interesting,
Right.
but you chose just to recycle footage from 2 movies ago.
I know.
Like, what was the point of this whole thing? It was just an
I know.
excuse to get
Well,
him to go
and you're
and
saying
upset the mutants.
and you're saying it's not a revelation. What I thought you were going to say was, how does he not know this already?
Well, there's that too. I mean,
What like
none of it's not.
surely someone has told him.
Yes,
As far back as Ricardo Montalban
yes,
when he was raising Caesar in the
yes.
circus. Like
No, of course.
everybody knew this.
No,
So why does he have to go to
but
the
it's
city,
it's the bizarre
capital T,
collective.
capital C city?
We we keep having collective amnesia in this movie because, like last movie, it's like, oh, the secret stuff about Cornelius and Zero, except that it was in like Time magazine. I'm like, oh,
I
what?
know, right?
I just
Everybody knew. But
yeah.
anyway, so in this movie they didn't know. And
But what is
that
even knowing it? What does knowing it tell them? Very little, I think, except for it gives Virgil this opportunity to play
when we
Doctor
get to the
Who and
when
talk
we get
about
to the
time.
ending, yes, when we get to
Yeah.
the when we get to the ending, I think this question will come up again.
Yes.
But meanwhile, the mutants who don't expect anybody to be visiting, and yet they have the surveillance cameras,
Yes.
spot them. There's a
Yes.
shootout,
Yes.
and the heroes barely escape.
Yes.
And then the mutants decide, partly out of boredom, partly out of a sense of threat, partly out of
Hmm.
just greed for taking over the resources, the orchards and whatever that the
Hmm.
apes and humans have, that they're going to declare war on Ape City, Ape Boy Scout camp.
1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a mutant war.
There we go. All right, so Caesar, Virgil, and McDonald too get back to Ape City, and then don't seem to be too concerned about the threat. Like they're mildly concerned that someday the mutants are going to boil out of the city and attack them, but probably not today.
Yes. Yeah.
Peculiar,
Yeah. It was.
but that's just
I,
so that another storyline about the gorillas can play out. So then
yes.
uh, the gorillas are still, kind of straining at the leash here, and they're plotting secretly to overthrow the regime, overthrow Caesar, especially Aldo. The other apes don't seem, the other gorillas don't seem that into the
No.
idea, but they are eager to get the guns. They think that they've somehow been wronged because they don't have access to the firearms that Mandemus is guarding. And then
It's the opposite of Zardal's gun. The gun is good.
Yes, exactly. And thank you for the gratuitous Zardoz reference. Um,
Anytime.
eh, so then, in the middle of this conference out in the woods around a fire, nothing suspicious about that at all. Caesar's son Cornelius manages to overhear them. He's up in a tree.
Hmm.
Aldo goes after him, hacks at the branch that he's on, and then Cornelius falls and is grievously injured.
Yes.
And then there's a extended period here in the movie where like nobody really asked many hard questions about how the
No.
kid's fall happened. We just know that
No.
he's dying.
In a typical 70s TV kind of logic, Virgil figures it out but doesn't tell anybody until deep into the narrative.
Exactly. Exactly. He looks at the branch, realizes, oh, somebody hacked this branch
And
until
notice
it
the
broke,
fire.
and noticed the fire, and then doesn't tell anybody,
Nope, till later.
including the father of the child
Yes.
who was just
Yes.
mortally wounded. Uh, all right. So
Yeah.
then basically Caesar decides to disappear for a while
Yes. And hang out with his
because
kid.
hang out with his kid, which I guess as a grieving parent, that's understandable. But at
Sure.
the same time, like there was nobody there saying, buddy, you've got a job to do.
That's right.
The mutants may attack any time here.
Right.
And I think that there is an Aldo is right T-shirt that needs to be made because he's up in arms about this.
Right. 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 Right.
Like, oh my God, there are these mutants with all these guns, and what are we doing? We're just sitting on our ape heinies here and just waiting for them to attack us. What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Agreed.
the mutants do attack,
Yes.
and they
With a school
form
bus.
with a school, the magic school bus.
And like a
Before we get to
howitzer.
that, I do want to ask the question: Is Caesar a good leader?
No,
No, I think he's a terrible leader.
he's not a leader at all. He just like again, he proclaims things
Yes,
and also doesn't really. I mean, you go back to the gorilla thing in the schoolroom. He
yes,
ordered them to do something. They disobeyed his order,
yes,
and then he just didn't care.
right. All
But
right,
no, he's not.
so the
Not
mutants
taking
come out.
responsibility.
They've got all these old weapons. They have a school bus. They have a jeep. It's this little convoy, and it looks
Yeah,
so much like Mad Max. I have to wonder,
yeah, yeah.
did
There's
this
a
have
Mad
any
Max.
impact on Mad Max? Uh, but it's this is the moment when you ask yourself, so this is the battle for the Planet of the Apes? Because it's maybe like 20, 30 guys
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
who
And
the
again,
mutant army.
if they'd had better tactics, they should have been able to rout the apes
Yes. I
because
mean
they have
they
mechanized cavalry and distance weapons. But hey,
but they just are like creeping along.
yeah, singing a
Yeah.
song
Yeah, there's a
side by side.
motorcycle. Is a motorcycle guy. They have some sort of howitzer.
Yeah.
It looked more like a recoilless rifle to me, which that's not how a recoilless rifle works. But anyway, some sort of
Oh, now you're going to
weapon
nitpick
that.
this movie? No.
Yes, I'm gonna. That should only be firing armor-piercing rounds, not high explosive rounds. Okay, so they start blasting away at the ape city.
Yes.
The apes I'm sorry, the gorillas in the meantime have corralled all the humans. They've used this as
Mhm.
an excuse, effectively, to declare
Yes.
martial law,
Yes.
and take over the government. Aside from you putting the humans into a camp.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Why did they have that thing built already in the camp?
Oh, I wondered that too. What are you corralling exactly? Maybe the horses. Maybe that's where the horses were kept, but
It's often small for horses,
it was
but
awfully
maybe
convenient to have it.
we happen to have one in the middle of camp.
Right, and
A
the humans
corral for
seem
humans.
incapable of fighting back at all.
Yes, that's right.
They just
Well, they can't say no. They're just the guys who can't say no.
they're exactly. So they're very docile and being herded into the corral. Okay, there's the big battle. I'm using
Hmm.
big with air quotes
Yeah.
around it.
Yes.
Um, Caesar kind of Caesar snaps out of it, joins the fight, it leads it. There's all kinds of explosions, guns. The mutants break through the barricade that the apes have made. They come upon this field full of dead apes. Turns out they were just playing possum.
Yes.
Yeah, this
Is there
is
some kind of
Caesar's
possum
big
DNA going on
stratagem.
here?
Maybe battle for the planet of the possums. All kinds of anthropomorphized
Sure.
creatures in the future. And this is where the quote that you had
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the beginning of the episode came, where they all pop up and now fight like apes,
Yeah, yeah.
and they
Whatever,
take
yeah.
out the mutants. Some of the mutants escape, including Kolb, the leader.
Yep.
He escapes only temporarily. The other ones, the Caesar's very emphatic about they just need to be captured, not killed.
Mhm.
Not exactly clear why. Then the
Because
bus.
he's a good ape.
Right. The magic school bus with Kolb on it and a few other mutants then gets attacked by the gorillas who again disobey orders, and in this case they start throwing grenades into the bus and shooting into it and so forth, and all the mutants there die. And
Yes.
then yes, not the most exciting battle, and certainly not a battle of planet scale import, but okay, not an epic battle.
That's why I think it should be Skirmish for the Planet of the Apes.
Yes,
Skirmish for the Village of the Apes. Really, that's the
yes.
more accurate title.
Yeah, violent disagreement over the Planet of the Apes.
Hmm.
Fight at the Waffle House for the Planet of the Apes. All right. So now that the mutant threat has been dealt with, Caesar suddenly is wise now to all those tricks. Aldo is revealed as the murderer of his child. That's Virgil finally tells
Mhm.
basically what he should have said
Mhm.
30 minutes
Oh,
earlier in the
we
movie.
can't forget, because another 70s or just bad writing trope that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Cornelius is dying. He tells father, they hurt me. And then instead of saying who they are, says some other nonsense and then
Right.
dies.
Right.
Because Aldo and they, it's one syllable difference. I think he could have said, Aldo hurt me and had just as much energy.
Yes.
But no,
No.
I just like,
Instead of like that effing gorilla killed me.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Anyway.
They would not have
Uh
been rated G.
yes, so Aldo, is everybody's shaming Aldo. There's sort of a
Yes.
shame moment. He
Yep.
retreats up into a tree.
Yes.
Caesar follows him, and Aldo falls to his death
Yes.
from not a terribly great height, but
That tree's dangerous, man. Everyone's falling
I
that
know
tree's
they should
dying,
chop that tree down. Or else like ape anatomy is incredibly fragile.
apparently.
Um, but they have amazing strength. All right, so that's the resolution of the plots in the age of the movie, and then we flash forward again to the future with the
Hmm.
lawgiver, kind of then kind of giving a last wrap up speech to an audience of apes and humans all living together in
Yes.
perfect harmony.
Except for the two kids shoving one another.
Yeah, well, kids do that. Uh, Apparently, that was in the original script was supposed to be like a precursor that things are going to go badly after that point. Anyway, and there's a lot of discussion, earlier in the movie about the timey-wimey stuff. That time has
Time?
many lanes.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
like a highway.
it's a highway, and you can take any off ramp you want and have a different outcome than the one that apparently happened in the
Hmm.
original two movies. Is this a hopeful ending or a pessimistic ending?
I think it's intended to be a hopeful ending. I don't know how well it pull it off, to be totally honest. I think it's trying to suggest that somehow I don't know what it was that supposedly put him on a different, highway than the one they were on. But I
Right,
think that's what it's supposed to be trying to convey. But
right.
what do you think?
So I watched this movie just a couple of days ago,
Hmm.
and I thought that this was the same ending as Terminator 2, saying yes,
Mm.
which we have taken
Mm.
a different
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
different
yeah, yeah.
off ramp
Hmm.
than the one that we had before. And I was reading about it, and apparently the filmmakers thought that this was a pessimistic ending, that this was like saying somehow that they were still doomed to have the terrible future that we saw in Planet of the Apes and Beneath the Planet of the Apes. I didn't quite get that,
No,
and ultimately I don't understand why the statue of Caesar was crying at the end.
oh, because Cornelius died. I don't know.
Apparently it has something to do, at least the intent of the filmmakers, with the sense that this is all doomed to replay
Yeah.
itself. But that's not how I felt about the
I
last
had
scenes.
and I forget where I read it, and it wasn't from the filmmakers. I had read someone ascribing to the filmmakers that this was supposed to be a more family-friendly, positive ending.
Yeah.
I mean, I did get the. I mean, I do think. I mean, just from a visual filmmaking point of view, it seems to me as if the whole point of the lawgiver scene at the beginning, you think he's just giving the law. Basically, he's proclaiming his wisdom and recounting this history, and
Saying,
the fact
I am the law.
yeah, that's sure, of course, as one does. That but when it pans over and it's it's children, right?
Right. All children.
Ape children and human children.
Right.
That conveyed to me that it was that at least at that point they were still living in harmony.
Yes, that's what I thought too.
But then, yeah, Caesar crying. I don't know. Maybe it's condensation. I don't know what's going on. But
yeah, very. I was
agree.
confused by that because I thought it was. I thought it was clearly intending to say they had taken the different off ramp. But
yeah.
Anyway,
I don't. The problem narratively is it doesn't make a case unless we're supposed to assume that because Caesar said spare the humans, and was all upset about the fact that Aldo died and whether that was just or not. But there's not like really an action that takes place. Like
yes.
Caesar doesn't declare that this battle clearly was a disaster and we need to live in harmony with the humans and treat the humans as equals. I think some of the humans make a request for that kind of, but I don't recall there being a Caesar sort of agreeing that they should be treated as equals. There's a little bit of dialogue there at the end. I forget exactly what all was said.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel like the story makes enough of a case and is trying to do, again, a TV-esque kind of narrative where, oh, there's a visual and it's kind of like a surprise. Oh, surprise! They're all getting along. And then, I don't know. So it's, let's face facts. The script's a bit of a mess.
It is. It is. All right, let's give this movie some grades. So overall, what would you give Battle for the Planet of the Apes?
A C minus.
Yeah, I think I'm going to downgrade it to a C minus. I had a C, but after everything that we've said here, especially since the screenplay is a mess. So what would you give the screenplay?
A D?
I gave it a C minus because of the potential in it, right? It had some interesting ideas, but then dropped the ball completely on the execution.
I guess what I would say, well, I said, and as a good professor does, I wrote down some comments. Lazy, doesn't make sense, and missed opportunities. So in some ways, I'm actually grading it down because it did not fulfill its potential.
What color pen are you using for these comments?
I'm an old school, usually a red pen kind of guy. I know that some people think that's just the way it is. Yeah. I had a friend who was grading green. Like, do they really care if you get a D in green? Does it make you feel better? I don't think so.
I'd feel terrible about myself, but green.
That's right.
The color of spring.
Although I think that the potential of the script is less about the script and more about the franchise. So the franchise provided some potential, which the script writer refused to pick up and use, in my opinion. I know part of it's budget and part of it's time, but seriously, it just does a very poor job.
I'll defend my C minus though is I think some of the banter is pretty good in this. So like some of the back and forth among Caesar and McDonald and Virgil are pretty good. And some of that's pretty good. The conversation again with Mandemus, is really good. So there's good dialogue at moments in this movie versus a lot of the sort of humorless, boring dialogue in some of the previous movies.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there are a few things I like, but I would also argue not to. I mean, we're both getting pretty bad grades, but in some ways the Mandemus stuff or the Virgil stuff is elevated not because it's necessarily great, because the rest of it's so terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, anyway, that's what I get. I'm going to stick with my D, but you can stick with your C minus. Okay. Mr. Grade inflation over there, and that's all right.
How unlike me, by the way. Okay, so direction. What did you give
C
direction?
minus.
I gave it a okay. I'll give it a C. I had a C plus. It's
It's
just
just a
there's somebody
TV
behind the
show.
camera. It's a TV show. I thought that some of the battle part of the movie at the end, they did their somebody did his best in order to set up the shots to make it look a little bit
Yeah.
more
How
epic than
about,
it
yeah.
was.
I felt like in the battle, like, oh, okay. So what we did was we set up a camera here and we told someone with a gun, run toward the camera. Okay, we got that shot. Now let's take a shot of the cars. Okay, got that. And we just edit it all together to make it look like something's going on. That's how it felt to me. So yeah, I wasn't impressed.
Yeah, it needed to be edited better
Yeah, yeah.
for one.
Well,
Yeah, there's
they clearly were turning these things out too fast.
absolutely, absolutely.
I mean,
Cinematography,
C minus.
yeah, C minus. Very TV movie look. That's that
Hmm.
very flat look.
Very flat. Colors not popping.
Yeah. Acting, what would you give Roddy McDowall in this movie?
I gave him a C plus. I like Roddy McDowall in the role, but he's not great in this. He's just too. And part of it's the script problem. And like, what is he gonna? He's not behaving logically. He was, I thought, really good
Yeah.
in the previous movie. I can't remember what I gave him, but I gave him better than a C plus.
Okay. I'll give
That's
him a C plus too.
you know,
Virgil, played by Paul Williams.
he's got the highest grade that I gave anything in this movie. I gave him a B minus.
I gave him a B.
That's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I like. He at least felt like a character.
Exactly. He had a personality.
Yeah.
How about Aldo, played by Claude Akins?
I gave him a C plus. I like him fine, but it all felt a bit like I'm gonna just go act like a monkey.
So I'm going to disagree on this one. I gave him a B plus. I thought
Okay.
he did a good job of showing somebody who was like yearning to take power, yearning
Okay.
to do violence. I thought that was pretty good, and he's a good character actor of that
He
age.
is.
Like he
He
showed,
is.
well, like when we did the Night Stalker and Night Strangler, he showed up
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
that. Kolchak. How about Natalie
McLeod.
McLeod? That was a different
Sorry.
guy.
I know. I know. It's just always what I think about.
I
That's what I
know.
think. And really, I'm not even doing that guy. I'm doing Crow doing that guy.
Yes. Okay. But there was that was a whole kind of character actor of the
Yes.
age,
Oh,
like
absolutely.
who was
Totally.
playing the police chief slash police lieutenant.
Yes.
You know, the gruff police chief slash police lieutenant.
Absolutely.
All right. What about Lisa, played by Natalie Trundy?
D plus.
Yeah, she's just sort of there.
Yeah. That's a
Oh,
case of that's the
uh,
producer's wife getting another girlfriend with her getting a role again.
and
Correct.
she looks concerned. That's about
Sure.
all she does.
She's the
How
Susan
about
Collins of Ape City.
concerned ape says
Sure. Yes.
Aldo Aldo has learned his lesson.
That's
Uh,
right.
how about McDonald too?
I just gave him a
Austin
C.
Stoker.
He's just
C.
fine.
He's just sort of an earnest
Yes.
sidekick kind of
Yes.
character. How about Severn Darden as Culp?
Whom I praised for doing almost nothing in the last movie. I gave him a C because it's just like he seems like he's phoning it in. And it's the script, but it's just
Yeah,
I
I'm
gave him
going
a
to give him a
C.
B minus.
That's fine.
He was still engaging when he was on screen. How about Mandemus
I gave him a
Luer?
C plus.
I gave him a B plus. I think you're being a little
I just,
miserly there.
maybe I just at some point, it just is all not very good.
All right. So since we always want to do a call out to somebody who appeared in
Yep.
Star Trek, yeah, we want to just also kind of give a nod to France Nguyen, who played one of the mutants, who also played Alan of Troyes
Yes,
and appeared
which
in
I didn't
South
notice until I
Pacific. Yeah.
saw your note.
Anyway, so she's in this movie too.
They're all wearing those hats. It's hard to keep track of who's who.
Okay. How about production design?
I gave it a C.
I gave it a D. I'm being
Well,
harsher on this because there
yeah.
was no thought to having like a transition
No, that's true.
look to things.
No, I
Yeah.
think okay. I'll take. You're right. There was no imagination whatsoever. I mean,
No, they just said, okay, get into the old costumes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's no. I agree.
We're
I think. Heck, you know what? D
what?
minus.
D minus. There you go.
Take that. Production design.
And then special effects.
C minus, which may be also a little too
Yeah, I gave it a C plus.
Okay.
Things got blowed up real good.
No, the only special effect I can think of is blowing up the Gilligan's Island treehouse, and that
Yeah,
like yeah, that really there's some fireball going on there, and it
yeah,
singed those ape costumes.
they did. And but again, the matte painting for the city was pretty terrible. So our grades overall
Hmm.
are going to answer a different question than this one.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a theme for when we do the next episode about like why we like these movies.
Yeah.
So, how would you rank the five movies in terms of enjoyment?
So I think I kind of it goes along with my grades actually. I mean, Planet of the Apes is at the top of the list. I enjoyed that movie quite a bit. I would give it I don't know what I originally gave it, but I decided it really isn't a movie. It is a classic. And it is a movie I think that should be watched for a variety of reasons, just from a film point of view, but also as a science fiction film. I
Hmm.
think it's a great film. Then I have a little bit of a Beneath is next, followed by Conquest, but it's pretty close. Followed by Battle, followed by
Yeah,
Escape. And I think you have the same ranking,
I
but
have exactly the same
that
ranking.
also matches my grades. I think your grades may be slightly different. You're a little more generous than I am, but yeah, it's just
Not a lot, not
no,
a
not a
lot.
lot.
And I think that the ranking has a lot to do with the arc of these movies. So it went from being a really great, thought-provoking science fiction satire in the first movie
Right?
to then this
Yes.
really gonzo movie in Beneath the Planet of the Apes
Hmm.
with mutants who took their false faces off and they had veins underneath and then there's a war. Anyway, just all kinds of crazy stuff happening. And I also like appreciate that this was intended to be the end to the series.
Right. Right.
Yes, that was not going to happen. And then
No.
there were all these really blah, overheated, underheated
Yes.
TV movie quality
Yes.
films
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
as you said, were made too quickly, and
Yeah.
uh, the scripts were bad, and it just wasn't that interesting.
Yeah, I struggle with like what to put at the bottom in terms of even the grades. I mean, I've got
Right.
Escape graded the worst. Although I don't know really it's a worse movie than Battle. Battle's pretty bad. I don't know, but
Well, because
I
there's nothing memorable about the last three movies. Like it might like we have this kind of weird attachment to Conquest because of UC Irvine, but
yeah,
otherwise, like Caesar's speech at the end is pretty good.
yeah.
The school bus in this movie, is that the most memorable part of Battle for the Planet of the Apes? And Escape,
The most memorable
just
part, I mean, is the thing blowing up. Yeah, I mean,
it's
I
like
thought that
Escape. It was like Cornelius's bathrobe was the most memorable
that
aspect of
and
that movie.
the dumb way they were on the boat. Oh, look, here I am.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But no, and we're going to reserve this for the next episode. But I mean, I still think there's something kind of fascinating about this series, and and we'll talk about why we think that's the case later, because that's a whole
Yes.
much more longer
Right.
conversation.
Right.
And the fact is, even though this is the last movie, right? Just to preview a little bit, there nonetheless are comic books, a TV series, a Saturday morning cartoon, and then a whole reboot
Yes.
later. So there's something about this that has an appeal that goes
Yes.
beyond maybe the logical, the reasonable, or the rational, but there is an appeal here. I don't that needs to be explored. I think. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't regret watching these things. I don't plan to watch them again anytime soon, if ever. But I don't regret doing this. But it is, boy, it just did not fulfill. Part of it, I think, is to preview the conversation. It's the potential of it that's just not quite
Right.
reached.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would ask. I mean, we're already watching the TV show and the
Hmm.
cartoon. We're
Hmm.
reading the comics. We're getting ready to do the next episode. To what extent did these movies inspire you to want to consume that other media versus we're doing it because we're going to
I
do a
mean,
wrap
now,
up episode now. Right. Like having
yeah,
watched these movies, it's like,
I
no, I'm
just,
really curious about what the Marvel black and white
yeah,
comics were like.
I am curious as to how this stuff gets. Why did it persist, and how did they
Yeah.
try to make it persist? It is intriguing to me, um, enough that I'm been willing to go ahead and keep talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really, it got me interested again over like why the cartoon was so different from the movies.
Mm,
I really am interested in reading more of the comics, because I think that they had a bit more ambition in them to tell
yeah,
some more stories that were not in exactly the same mold as you got from the movies. So it did stimulate some interest in me to consume the other media from the 1970s that were based on these movies. All right. So we normally ask our merch question from this movie, what would you like to have or what did you have? But since the only thing in this movie of any interest is the school bus, I'm going to change the
yeah,
question. So there were tons and tons of merchandise from the Planet of the Apes movies. Uh, I'm going to give you a choice of four
hmm,
of these bits of merchandise, and which of these would you most like to own?
yes,
And there was one that was like too obvious. It was like a play set that had an ape tree house and an underground
hmm,
bunker and so forth. And instead of having action figures, there were these cutout figures,
yeah. It was a lame '70s cutout thing.
a lame '70s cutout thing. I think that's the too obvious choice, so I'm
Sure,
taking that off the list.
sure, sure, sure.
So the
And I'll
list,
go ahead and
yeah,
tell the listeners all of these are. I have photos of these and all in the show notes that we'll post tomorrow, so you'll be
excellent.
able to see these.
Excellent. So, first of all, we have the 3 foot by 3 foot floor puzzles.
Hmm.
There were a couple of these. So, like one has Dr. Zaius and uh, uh, Ursus, General Ursus, the guerrilla leader from Beneath the Planet of the Apes. The second one you can choose as your valuable prize for having watched all 5 Apes movies is the Dr. Zaius piggy bank.
Yes, it's
Uh,
frightening.
door number three is a Planet of the Apes belt because you could get belts with the faces of some of the apes like Zaius on them. And last of all was a Planet of the Apes trash can with
Yeah.
a wonderfully rendered picture of Taylor in captivity, and apes being nasty overlords. All right, so those are your four choices. You could have the puzzle, the piggy bank, the belt, or the trash can. What do you choose, Stephen?
I chose I chose the Dr. Zayas piggy bank, but it's frightening to behold.
It's really creepy looking.
It's one of those things where again, I keep picking on the '70s, but there was something about certain kinds of toys and merch where I think it was just cost. They didn't look right, right?
Yes,
They didn't use the same coloring or the same. But holy cow,
it's
that's
bright blue.
bright blue, which doesn't track, and I don't know. But I will say, if it was just going off the ad, which is on the show, will be on the show notes, with with the gorilla pointing at you saying "Go ape"
Yes, that's pretty good.
with the belts, there is that.
Yeah, I'm gonna choose the
Oh,
belt.
okay.
Yeah, because I think that it's a good conversation starter.
Oh well, or
Like,
a
what
way
the
to
hell are you wearing and why are you wearing that?
it may be a way to repel salesmen and other strangers from talking to you.
That would be, yes, exactly. There's somebody in the
The
checkout line you don't want to talk to.
the trash can looks like it's like a almost looks like it should be like a tin can or something,
It should be in the
with
trash,
like
not,
beans in it or something.
yeah,
But
it's pretty weak.
I will say I do have merch, and I have merch because you gave it to me from my
I
birthday.
do. I
I have a
did.
lawgiver statue, so
Yeah.
that's very exciting, and I have a picture of that on the show notes.
Yeah.
I will say, if you got it may not be the school bus, maybe it's Culp's goggles. Boy, those goggles are crazy
Those are
wild.
pretty good. Yeah.
I'm not sure what you use them for, but nonetheless, there's something else.
Boy, the city sure
Anyway,
had a lot of weapons.
yeah, especially well, I don't know, man.
Is there a
I think
secret arsenal in Century City today that we don't know about?
apparently, well, probably.
Yeah.
I think the thing that always bothers me about post-apocalyptic hellscape movies is, again, not everything is going to have been destroyed. I mean,
Right.
nuclear war is awful, but it doesn't incinerate everything. And in fact, you should be able to scrounge quite a bit of stuff.
Right.
And yet somehow that's not the way it works in the Planet of the Apes.
Yes. So many
Scavenger
things.
hunt on the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
I don't know.
Gleaning on the planet
But
of
yeah,
the apes.
exactly.
All right.
How about some curiosity on the Planet of the Apes? That's
That'd
what
be
I
good.
want.
That'd be good. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that wraps up this episode about Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Thanks for listening.
Adios.
Sadly, it's time for the magical mutant school bus to whisk us away to Ape Holiday Camp, so we'd best wrap up this episode of Ancient Geeks. Thank you once again for listening. Please like and subscribe, and leave us a review on the podcast app of your choice. If you want to give us feedback directly, drop us a line at someancientgeeks@gmail.com. And look for our continued geeky thoughts on Substack at someancientgeek.substack.com. We post a joke of the day, we post reviews, we post thought pieces, all kinds of things that don't make it into the podcast. All content is copyright 2026, Tom Grant and Stephen Taylor. Music is by Reversed Image, whom you can find on Pixabay. See you next time.
What's the matter with them? I guess you might say they just joined the human race.
Ape has killed ape. Ape has killed ape. Ape has killed ape.